In my undergraduate degree, this is long before I had the words for it, before what I knew what it meant to be highly sensitive. I used to say, I feel like an amphibian. And people would kind of look at me puzzled, but it was not intended to be a joke or a metaphor that I really did fully understand at the time. It was just that at the time, it was the only way I could explain how wildly permeable I felt, how exceptionally vulnerable to the outside world I was, how impacted I was by my environment. And so I was learning about amphibians at the time. I knew then, I know now that they are indicator species. They breathe through their skin and they just drink in the world with no filter. So they pull in pollution, pollutants, temperature changes, toxins, whatever alterations or changes occur in their environment, they feel it first. Their biology is this magnificent warning system. Yes, fragile and extremely wise. So when something is wrong with the planet, they don't hide it, they wear it. And I always made that connection. I felt the same. I was like that. I really am still like that. And I wonder if you feel like that. As a child and a young person, even now a little bit, the wrong kind of glance or a sharp word would just sit with me and echo within me for hours. I would walk into a room and sense things that others were missing, mild tension, discomfort, whatever it was. I was so porous. And I thought, okay, well, something is clearly wrong with me. But learning about amphibians taught me otherwise. I remember as a kid, we used to go up to central British Columbia and I would watch these frogs and they would all sit motionless along this edge of this pond. And their eyes were always so wide and they were so still. And they weren't really like doing very much, but somehow they were so hyper aware of everything. They were in constant dialogue with their environment. They were listening, adjusting, surviving, evolving, just like we are, just like you are. And so later, many decades later, not many, but decades later, I found the term highly sensitive person, and something inside of me just clicked. And I began to understand that my trusty old amphibian analogy was not representing a weakness. It was perhaps biology to an extent. It was perhaps learned to an extent. It was sensitivity as a form of intelligence, a warning system, yes, but also you can look at it as a gift. The sensitive people, the sensitive animals are the early detectors of disturbance, of imbalance. So we tend to sense shifts in tone, in energy, in truth. And when the world is hurting, which it is, we know it. And this isn't really because we want to, but it's because we just can't not feel it. And just like the amphibians, our healing is so tied to the health and the healing of this planet and the environment. We thrive in safe places, all of us do. Clean, quiet ponds, gentle and respectful and nurturing relationships. When the world becomes a place where we can't or where we can breathe deeply without burning our skin or shrinking or bracing, we don't just survive, we thrive. And so I've been in the Lyme community for several years now, and what I have heard repeatedly from many reputable doctors is that they see the same kind of person showing up with Lyme. Highly sensitive people coming in with Lyme and other chronic illnesses. A therapist once told me I was the canary in my family. So maybe you also feel like the canary or an amphibian. Maybe you really are a highly sensitive person too. And maybe that's part of the reason why you're here and why we're both here, why we're all here. Welcome back, everybody, friends, family, everybody. And thank you all for being part of the very first Lyme RX Forum. You have now heard, I can't believe it, from 18 respected world-class speakers, healers, researchers, scientists, doctors, each of them bringing a particular understanding and wisdom about your healing. And what I really want you to know at the end of this forum is that the forum was designed to show you empirically, anecdotally, living proof that Lyme recovery is happening and it is possible for you. There are, as we know, many contrary narratives out there. And if we are to recover, if you want to recover, you've got to tune out those who say that remission is your best option, that full recovery can't be done. You got to turn those narratives down. So I want to ask you some very important questions that I want you to think about and continue thinking about. Do you feel like full recovery is possible for you? Do you now feel like that? Do you believe that? And I know absolutely that some of you are going to say emphatically yes, and some of you might not be there just yet. And that's great. That's totally okay. I need you to know that this is the single most important question you'll answer in your recovery journey. So think about it again. Do you believe, do you feel that full recovery is possible for you? And if the answer is not yet, we need to start diving into what's in the way of you feeling and believing and knowing that answer is yes. If you're already yes, my follow-up question is, okay, tell me how you got Lyme or whatever it is that you're going through right now. I imagine that your answer could be something similar to what mine used to be, which is, oh, I was riding my horse, hiking, whatever it is, in 2017, and then I was bitten by a tick, full stop. But here's the truth. I did not get sick because of that one tick that bit me 8 years ago now. I did not get so sick and bedbound because of Borrelia only. I got sick because of the terrain that I had created inside of myself. I was a perfectionist, a people pleaser, I had a fried nervous system. I was constantly in fight or flight. I was never slowing down. My immune system was completely worn down. My stress hormones dominated. And that inner terrain made me a perfect host for Lyme to enter and to take hold. So again, how did you really get to this point that you're here on this forum? Was it some sort of perfectionism, workaholic, people pleasing, no boundaries, weak boundaries? What I notice in the recovery journey is this, that none of us with Lyme or whatever it is that we're facing are sick only because of the tick or the one thing that happened to us. We are sick because of our bodies, what our bodies and what our minds and our nervous systems have been carrying for years, potentially decades. And that's why this forum has not just focused on bacteria, which it could have. It's been about your terrain, about your innate inner resilience, about renaturing ourselves, regenerating our bodies, and eventually becoming rejuvenated through this illness. When most of us first answer, how did you get sick? We say, okay, I was bitten by a tick, or it's genetic. I got it through my mom or whatever it is. That is not the complete story. The forum has taught us how our inner world, stress, trauma, beliefs that are no longer helpful, coping mechanisms, nervous system dysregulation, these things shape whether and highly influence whether illness flourishes or whether resilience and healing flourishes. That is the best news, you guys, because we certainly cannot control being bitten all the time. We can take measures, great. We cannot control, take abundance. What we can control fully, what we have full control over, is our inner terrain. We can rebuild that innate resilience that you were born with. We can regenerate. And as you've seen with our most recent guest, Anushka, she was literally on the brink of death. She had been given months to live. And she is now grateful for her experience of cancer, which means you can become even better than you were before illness. You can create a life that you love more, a life that is better than the one you had the day before you got sick. So I'm going to ask you another question. What is just one belief, toxic belief, habit, or coping mechanism that you can identify that maybe just made you a little bit more vulnerable to illness? Were you always being productive to prove your inherent value as a person? Were you constantly seeking approval from others? Do you have ample unresolved trauma? Do you fear speaking how you feel, showing yourself to others, expressing your emotions? And are you now aware of how this leads to, and could potentially lead to, a chronically unregulated nervous system, which ultimately weakens and depletes and degrades your immune system over time? Which means you become less resilient and more vulnerable to a disturbance in your terrain, which could show up in the form of a bug bite on the back of your horse on a beautiful day in California. So what I know about recovery is that it requires two things. One, the support and care and connection with a Lyme literate doctor, or doctor literate in whatever it is that you're facing. And two, tangible action on the 4-stage recovery process. So one without the other leaves big gaps. So together they create a recovery roadmap for you. So when I was very sick, I talk about this often, birds of prey showed up in my life in wild numbers. Owls, osprey, red-tailed hawks, red-shouldered hawks, kite birds, eagles. They became my North Star, my inspiration. Watching birds fly outside of my bedroom window from bed was, for a long time, my sole connection to nature. I was almost obsessed with their freedom and their weightlessness and the ease, the way they would ride these thermals of air out our backyard. And they inspired me to keep going. And so that's why, along with the 4-stage recovery process, I created the SOAR method, as in the way that birds soar. So SOAR is an acronym for Surround, Open, Action, Release. And so after moving through my own deep healing, physical and mental and emotional, and seeing what's necessary for you to heal too, the SOAR method will guide you in these like daily practices and actions. S is for surround. So fairly self-explanatory. To put it simply, what and who and where and all the things you surround yourself with. O is for open, becoming open to new treatments and new possibilities for yourself. A is for action, taking repeated, consistent action, brave action, often in the face of fear. And R is for release. This is a non-negotiable. This is releasing stored traumas, stored beliefs, and stress from your body that are blocking your ability to heal. This is necessary if you want profound change to happen. SOAR is a metaphor, just like amphibian. It is a daily practice, and it is a compass that is going to guide you step by step to your recovery. So these frameworks and a couple others are part of my recovery program, which I have named Resilient by Nature. No surprise. I created this because I know how impossible it can seem when you've got a scattered and fragmented and confused approach to healing rather than something that's sequential and simple and clear and like a roadmap to recovery. Again, you have seen the proof of what is possible, anecdotally and empirically. We've had healers and we've had parapsychologists and everyone in between. This Lyme Rx Forum gave you the proof over and over again that recovery is possible for you. And Resilient by Nature gives you the roadmap to recovery to supplement everything we've just talked about. So we have 7 live sessions. We'll walk through the 4-stage recovery process together. You'll leave with your own recovery roadmap and a strong conviction and a confidence and a belief and clarity about your next steps. So the workshop begins on September 16th. It is, again, 7 live, not recorded sessions. Well, they'll be recorded, but you attend live if you'd like. Question and answer periods, a beautiful, beautiful, oh my God, I love this thing, workbook that I've created, and a full, robust breathwork session with Kyla Gagnon, who was one of our forum guests. She has changed my life, full stop. And the Resilient by Nature quotient assessment. The price is $497 for all of that. And again, if you are done with being sick, if you are done with being sick and stuck, feeling confused, feeling overwhelmed, feeling hopeless, not knowing where to turn, sick of the negativity that exists out there in this community so often, please join me. If you purchase a Resilient by Nature workshop now or within the next 2 days, so the next 48 hours, I'm going to include with it as a gift the entire Lyme Rx Forum recordings. So 22 interviews. That is every single episode of the forum, and you're going to get that as just a free bonus, as a beautiful gift to you. So again, we start on September 16th, and once more, if you purchase Resilient by Nature now or in the next 48 hours, you will get 7 live sessions and 22 recorded sessions and interviews from the Lyme Rx Forum. So again, you've got until Friday at midnight. There is a link on the email that you received. If you cannot find that, just go to my website, reach out to me, message me on Instagram. It's alaynabellquist.com/get-resilient. alaynabellquist.com/get-resilient. Of course, I would love for you to be there. I would love to talk to you live and in person. I'm going to say it once more. I'm going to end with this. The forum has been about showing you unequivocally that recovery is possible for you. Now, the workshop, Resilient by Nature, is about proving it's possible for you and giving you a simple format to follow, a roadmap to follow. I want you to leave this forum with this truth in every cell of your body. You are designed to heal. Just like nature regenerates after great disturbance, fire, flood, windstorm, whatever it is, you too can regenerate because you are resilient by nature. I am so privileged. I am so honored. I am so happy to walk this healing path with you. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a labor of love, and I would do it all over again.